Good evening, everyone. I would be taking you to the journey of corneal neurotization. Before I start, I want to acknowledge the multidisciplinary team that we have here: cornea team, oculoplastics, plastic surgery, and maxillofacial team. So as we can see here, corneal neurotization is a hot topic, and the PubMed search as on June 21, 2021 shows 111 articles with 55 published in the last 2 years only, and 17 of these in the first half of 21. So what the next 8 minutes will look like is that I would take you to what is corneal neurotization, what is the ideal case scenario, how do we do it, and does it work, and if yes, to what extent, and our experience at LV Prasad Eye Institute. So the most common indication that we know of for corneal neurotization is insensate cornea. So insensate cornea, where there are reduced corneal sensations or completely absent corneal sensations, can lead to a poor healing response, leading to neurotrophic keratopathy. The most common causes are herpetic, systemic, and iatrogenic, and we know that it ranges from a simple SPK to epithelial breakdown to stromal lysis or perforation. Management also is stage-based, and we already know this, so I would just brush through. The newer treatment modalities that have been discussed of late are recombinant human nerve growth factor, regenerating agent, polymer eye drops, and a combination of several molecules. But the problem remains. The problem is that the underlying cause of corneal anesthesia remains unaddressed. So that is where corneal neurotization comes in. It's a novel surgical technique that utilizes a donor nerve graft to re-innervate the diseased cornea. The ideal donor nerve for corneal neurotization would be one that is rich in axons, lies close to the pathological cornea, has easy accessibility, minimum surgical morbidity during dissection. And in several studies, the proximal supraorbital nerve has been shown to be the most favorable donor. Coming to the two approaches that are defined for corneal neurotization, there is a direct approach and an indirect approach. The direct approach, it is basically the direct transfer of the donor nerves to the diseased cornea. So it uses supraorbital or supratrochlear nerve. It could be the ipsilateral or the contralateral nerve. In 2009, when direct surgical corneal neurotization was first described, it was an open technique, and open surgery was done, whereas now minimally invasive corneal neurotization or endoscopic corneal neurotization is also performed. Indirect corneal neurotization uses an interpositional nerve graft, which is acting as a conduit to the diseased cornea. So ultimately, we are using the supraorbital or supratrochlear nerve, but interpositionally, we are using an additional nerve graft, which is either taken from the sural nerve or the greater auricular nerve. So studies, there are hardly any studies which are comparing direct with indirect technique. The reason being that the inclusion criteria for the two techniques is very different. And so there are no randomized control trials possible. And the choice mainly depends on the surgeon choice, the patient preference, and the site of pathology. So you need to do a preoperative testing to choose the approach that you should go for. You should test for the supraorbital nerve, the supratrochlear, the the infraorbital, and the greater auricular nerve. You need to test for the sensory distribution, whether or not they are healthy, and accordingly choose the donor nerve. So as I said, the first description was in 2009. Something good and something bad came out of this. So the good things were that there were improved corneal sensations, there was improved visual acuity, improved corneal health, but there was denervation of contralateral forehead, scalp, and the larger incision with scarring. Few other studies have studied corneal confocal microscopy post-surgical corneal neurotization, showing sprouting of subbasal nerve fibers as early as 6 months postoperatively. The good aspect of MICN, the minimally invasive corneal neurotization, is that 24 to 33 months after MICN, people have performed corneal transplants with very good reepithelialization within 4 to 8 weeks, and restoration of corneal sensations as to the same level as early as 6 months. This is a histochemistry that was performed, a histopathology that was performed after MICN, which shows the characteristic dot and linear axon profile showing that there is corneal reinnervation. The problem that still remains is that re-innervation that occurs, we do not really know why it is occurring, whether it is direct nerve sprouting or whether it is the neurotrophic factors which are working. So the fact that it takes almost 6 to 12 months for the regeneration to occur, it seems to be more of the factors which take time because they're released as secondary to the Wallerian degeneration and not really the nerve that we are directly putting there. Our experience is of 7 cases that we have now followed up till 13 months postoperatively. And the technique that we followed was an indirect surgical corneal neurotization, where we have used the sural nerve graft from the left leg and taken the contralateral supraorbital nerve, and we have coapted. We coapted the two, and ultimately we have we performed indirect surgical corneal neurotization. The outcome has been fairly encouraging with improved BCVA in all the cases, the recovery of corneal sensations also in all the cases, and we have improved corneal surface also. Corneal imaging, confocal imaging has also shown encouraging results. This is one case from our case series, and this is a 38-year-old lady who presented with recurrent episodes of pain, redness in the right eye for past 13 years. She had a history of varicella in childhood, with neurotrophic keratopathy was noted with significant thinning, for which a TA-BCL was done. And the BCVA in this eye was counting finger close to face at that time. 11 months after the TA-BCL, she underwent a surgical corneal neurotization, and this is how it looks like at 13 months post-operative visit, with a stabilized ocular surface with reduced density of corneal scarring and vision improvement to counting finger 1 meter. The patient can now appreciate installation of eye drops in the right eye, showing that the sensations have improved. The take clinic message from this presentation would be that we all know neurotrophic keratopathy is a sight-threatening pathology with absent or reduced corneal sensations. Management is a step-ladder pattern, depends on the stage, and surgical corneal neurotization holds a special place because it could be a potential cure. And favorable and comparable outcomes are seen with both the approaches. There is a slight soft corner for the indirect approach, being reduced surgical morbidity, especially if the patient is fit for that and the surgeon is confident in it. Post-neurotization recovery usually takes 3 to 6 months to recover corneal sensations, while nerve regeneration on confocal may take long. So what the future holds, I hope it holds some answers, and we plan to get them. Long-term durability of return of corneal sensation and repair mechanisms, if once the patient has got, whether it stays on or not. Optimal timing, risk of reactivation of the virus or antiviral regimen of corneal neurotization in the herpetic cases, potential healthy bed for future cornea transplants, and the effect of human recombinant nerve growth factor post-neurotization. Thank you.